Here we are again, session 4. We're still looking at the first days of school. We want to look at lesson plans this time and kind of break down what a lesson plan should look like and look at them a little more in depth. In the lessons that we've already handed out to the teachers, for those lesson plans that we've already given them, we've been using a 5E lesson plan. It's not the only type of lesson plan. There are several types of lesson plans out there. So if you use another one, feel free to introduce that one or use it exclusively when you're talking to them. Colleges use another one also, so there are a variety of them out there, but they all still have the same components in them. It's just a matter of what they call them when they're working with them. So just, you need to break it up, and we're going to talk about them, but I'm going to use the 5E, and that's what I will talk about here, and have some slides here for you when we're doing those things. But basically you need to show them that there are the three main parts of a lesson plan. There's, before you get started, the goal, or the big idea now is being used instead of the goal, and it could be goals, more than one. But the big idea, and the big ideas are some of those things that when we talked about arranging your room, those are things that your evaluation person usually likes to see in the room, so you can tell them those things too, posted around the room. And then also the objectives, what that lesson itself is going to accomplish, or what you're trying to get out of that lesson itself. So those are the things that you kind of do before you get to the lesson. Then you actually get to the lesson itself. With the 5E, you start with an engagement, which that's the hook to bring them in, to get them hooked on what that is. That can be done a variety of ways. Bell ringers are one of the ways that several use to hook students into what's going to happen in class that day by a variety of different bell ringers. An engagement can be as simple as a picture or something that they have to look at, or terms or terminology or different things. So there's a variety of ways to do hooks. Then you have the exploration. This is some sort of pre-work on the student's part. That could be as simple as they have some pre-reading that they have to do, or they have to look up information on the internet, or they have to gather materials to work with within the class. So that's the exploration. Then you come to the explanation part. This is the teaching part, where the teacher gets involved and they use what the pre-work or the exploration has gathered, and then give direction and focus to what's going to be happening. And then that leads into the extension. This would be the follow-up work or the project, the enforcing work that then would be used from pre-work that they've already gathered by the students, and this would be the project or the activity. And we've given you several in the previous lessons, so you can refer back to those as the different things that were going on there, and those lessons are laid out with the 5E thing too, so you can look at those also. And then in the end you have an evaluation. How do you know if they got what they were supposed to get? And evaluation can be done a variety of ways, and you know this, and within each area there's going to be different ways of evaluating what actually got done. But a lot of them are simple evaluations. I mean, you can observe and see whether they got things. They may come up with something solid like a product or a project that you can see also, and even have a rubric for grading things. It could be as simple as, especially in these opening days, you sent paperwork home to be signed by them and their parents, and that comes back signed, and so that you know that it got done. And then the last part of the lesson is for the teacher, is they need to have some sort of a reflection, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more this time too, is how to reflect and ways to reflect, and give them some tools to use for that reflection also. For this part right here, the discussion questions, just kind of walk through them with them and talk about some of these things, just an open discussion with them. You know, the significance of things. You know, what do you hope to accomplish? Might experience in those first days, and at the same time, you can be sharing your own experiences and trying to alleviate some of that deer in the headlights stuff that's coming back to you, that look of fear of the unknown of what's going to happen. So the more that you can impart from your experience to them, the better they're going to have with their own experiences when they get in there. And then following that up is things with the first days of school is the do's and don'ts, and definitely go over these and add to them. I know you have them. I mean, being an experienced teacher and having survived the classroom, you have several do's, and especially in specific educational areas that you're in, you have do's, things that should be done. But you've also learned, and lots of times it was learned the hard way, the don'ts, the things you should not do. But go over these with them and talk about them, add your own in there, looking at those, especially some of the simple things like, you know, don't sit and read the syllabus and the rules word for word to them. It's okay to talk around them and, you know, try to explain them a little bit more, but don't read them word for word with them, you know, or allow the students to give their feedback on what they think those things mean. Don't overwhelm them with a laundry list of rules and expectation. You know, keep your list of basic rules short. Don't ask them to sit still and listen for the entire period, and that goes for comprehensive school or tech center. I mean, tech center, definitely you need to break things up into small chunks to where they're changing and doing things. If you noticed in the lessons we've given them, they are broken up. There are different activities in there to change the pace where they're not doing the same thing over and over again. And then try to keep excitement in your stuff. You know, don't hide the excitement. You know, you want to keep the excitement in there and doing stuff. Oh, and with the do's and don'ts, they can look on page 26. There's also some example lesson plans there with timing and those things in there. 27 and 1-1, and see if they can go clear back and go through some of the lessons you've already given them to see if they were good lesson plans. According to the way they should be laid out with different things. First day lesson plans. What are the components? I mean, you've already talked about those and how you approach that. You can refer back to the 5 E's. How does each learning activity contribute to the object of the day and or the objectives of those days? You know, for them, they need to be cognizant of the time frame. Looking on page 27, there is a guide there of how it's laid out, and they've put the times in there. Go ahead and look at those. I mean, and possibly adjust them and see what that would look like for their own schools, or if they're in comprehensive high school, looking at what their day would look like, how long each period are, or in the tech centers, or even in the middle schools. For some of those that are in middle school, you have a different time frame also. So you're going to need to be cognizant of your time and how long it takes you to do things. One of the biggest problems with any new teacher, and even sometimes with an experienced teacher, is knowing how long something's going to take. And that always changes depending on the students. Some kids can do things faster than others, but one of the biggest problems that we have is that you'll plan a lot of things and then they'll get through them quick and you're left with nothing left to do. And then sometimes you plan a whole bunch of stuff and they don't get through hardly any of it. So you will learn as you go along how to gauge your time and know how long it takes you to do things You'll also get a feel for how long it takes the students to do things. So these are things that you'll learn, but until then, it's a matter of kind of keeping up with the times of things and reflecting and writing down those times and knowing what's going on with them. At this time, we want to, if they have time, give them a chance to write down how they would introduce themselves. I know they've written a letter to the parents and to the students, kind of done a sketch of that in the first section part there, but if they have time, let them make a little outline and go around and introduce themselves. At the very least, I want you as the trainers to do that for them. Show them what that would look like, how you would introduce yourself, and kind of go through these different things that you can tell about, where you've worked, where you come from, things that you've done, things you like to do, a fisherman, whatever. But kind of go through some of your history background with them, just to kind of introduce yourself, to tell them who you are as a teacher. And at that time, it's not wrong to say I'm a square, and I kind of like things a certain way. But you need to be upfront with them some of your expectations of what you like and dislike also. That way they know from the get-go what to expect. The first day lesson plans, we've not really created one yet, but we've given them lesson plans, so we'd like to look at, if you take the time, and this is where you gauge whether you want them to do introductions of themselves versus which is more important for them to actually sit down and create a lesson plan. So you're going to have to watch your time and see there which things you want to do, which things you don't have time for. But you need to help them sketch out based upon what we've already given them and different things and the length of their period. Try to sketch out the first day lesson plan, what's going to happen, things that they need to try to have in that, and try to assign times to those so they can have at least a rough sketch of their first day and they can feel confident about that. And then that gives them a springboard to move into the rest of the week in writing those out. I know we're giving them stuff, but they have to make it their own. It has to be them. It can't just be on the paper, because then it does become a reading the script type thing. So if you can find time, do that with them. Talk a little bit about communicating with families. We've already done this to some extent, where we've written a letter or tried to sketch out a letter to the parents, and if they have not finished that, you might pull that back out again and give them a little more time to work on it. Once again, be cognizant of your time and how long you have within your 4 hours that you have there. But this would also be a time to talk a little bit about CTSOs, how you could put that into the letters, how being a part of that and how that offers them some outside of class growth that can lead to professional growth, but it also helps them in developing communication and skills and leadership skills. So take a little time, if you have it, to work on that letter and maybe to polish that up a little bit more to where it's ready to use. Now we're going to look at getting to know your students well. We've already talked about getting to know them through observation, of watching how they behave and work together with different projects. Now we want to look at different ways. The last lesson they did an interview of each other, a short interview, and introduced each other, which that is starting to get to know each other also. But with this one, we have what is called a Get to Know You Bingo, which is on page 30 through 31 in their participants guide. go ahead and have that printed out and have the things ready to where if you have a chance and the time, once again, cognizant of your time and where you're at with your 4 hours, but if you have the time, go ahead and play that with them. If nothing else, there's a teacher version, that's why I said go ahead and go through that with them, but show them how that's done and how they can use that or tie that into their lesson for that day, and get to know their students a little bit better, and they can get to know each other a little bit better. If nothing else, if you are short on time, at least walk through it and talk about it and show how it's done and show how they can set it up so that they can make it work within their classroom. Personalizing everything, you need to do that with everything I'm giving you. Personalize it, make it your own. I mean, truthfully, I've got a lot of stuff over the years that I've used in the classroom. Initially, none of it was original. I've gotten stuff from other people, but everything I've gotten that I use, I continue to change it and make it work for me to where it then becomes mine, and I use it as mine. But I mean, I freely give this stuff, and other teachers do too. Take what other people give you, put your name on it, make it yours, make it work for you. Personalize things that way that they can get to know you better and support your students and respect them. Things that students are looking at for support and respect, you know, they want a safe environment. They want relationships. So everything's about relationships with you, with their peers, and you know how they get along with people. You know, they like a voice in things. They want to have meaning for everything they're doing. So you always try to make things have meaning, and then support as far as academic and behavioral support. So these are some of the different things that you can do within your classroom to personalize it and make it a better place. This is a good video to watch here with the students. You'll need to have an internet connection. If this link is not a hot link on the thing, just copy and paste it into your browser and go there. It's going to show you different ways that teachers greet their students coming in and give them some ideas on how to greet their students coming into the room. Some are good for the beginning of the year, but wouldn't be practical throughout the year. But the main thing they're trying to show you here is don't be a passive teacher. I mean, you need to be actively engaged with them coming in and ready for them and ready to greet them and welcome them into the classroom and welcome them into whatever's getting ready to happen that day. And, you know, be glad to see them. Because sometimes you're the only happy face, remembering back to you set the mood of the classroom. So they need to know that, and they need to remember that with everything they're doing. And of course we are going to give them day 4 lesson plan, and within the lesson 4.1 they're going to talk about journaling and work on journals and do journals. So this is once again it goes to the 5E, and journals are just like working in teams. They don't know how to do them. It's not an innate thing. You have to teach them how to journal, teach them what you want in a journal. So, you know, I've taught a variety of classes, everything from electronics to robotics to construction to CAD to computer construction. So each class had a journal, but I required different things out of their journals depending on what class they were in. You know, there is a little sheet that you can hand out to them. Why do we use journals? Why do we have them? Which that's from my engineering classes that I taught. But you know, journaling serves a lot of different purposes, not just for you, but for the students and for the educational process as a whole. With the core curriculum coming out, there's a big part of the core curriculum that wraps through all different classes is that of reading and writing. And with most of our students having those soft skills to communicate and keep track of what they're doing is a big thing. So this is a way that you can promote some of those skills, and how and what you have them journal about can also be directed towards the way they would use those journals in real life, or logs as they could be called, for working. But you know, these are different things. Now, the journal that I'm giving them, one will work for them. It's a PDF journal. It's interactive within itself. It has links all through it to where it's a quick to page journal that you can go to. But they can also in turn around and give it to their students and make them their own journal, where they each have their own digital journal to keep up with. Now they would need to some way figure out how they would incorporate that as a grade, or make that part of a larger grade of what they're doing also. But you know, there are different things in there. Within the lesson itself, it has samples of what different types of journals, of different things that can go in journals, so they can look at some of those things also. That's the end of lesson 4 here, and we've got one more to go, and then that should wrap up your 4 hours with your new teachers.